So now I'm going to tie in the experience as far as eating goes and whatnot. But I was doing some research on this, and alcohol, for example, when you keep it in your mouth, a certain percentage of this alcohol goes into your bloodstream directly, which is crazy. It doesn't even have to be swallowed by you. It can get absorbed into the mouth. Notice how B12, you put it under your tongue and you're absorbing it, right? Your first line of digestion is your mouth. This is why they say chew properly, right? And then the reason why, look at, for example, like Jesus Christ, sacrificed himself 40 days, 40 nights fasting and whatnot. And he also died for our sins as a form of sacrifice, right? But we look at the word dying and we have this religious, view, mental picture of what the word death means, right? And what the word sacrifice means. And when you look at fasting, it's not an easy task to do. But as I said, when you look at your environment or your world or your life, this life is you inverted inside out. This is all you projecting this reality from your mind, okay? So what do you think is happening when you fast? You are fasting not just for yourself, but for everything outside of you. So when you fast, if you're experiencing parasites in your life, they tend to fall out of your life. When you meditate and center yourself, when you're breathing properly, strengthening your spirituality, whatever parasitic people appear to be in your life will tend to fall off. You know why? Not because they starved, from lack of attention from you, but it's because you actually changed yourself from within you. The environment changed, the terrain changed. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to do these fasting protocols. I was watching videos, which I suggest you go watch. He's very good. Dr. Robert Kassar, and he's a professional when it comes down to, protocols on getting rid of parasites and all this kind of shit. But understand this, these things you don't have to work so hard physically to get these things out of your system. It's more or less a mental state when you're balancing yourself more. Look, some people think that when you meditate, you're doing nothing, but you're actually doing something. Even when you appear to be doing nothing, you're doing something, right? And when you're doing something, you're still doing nothing in actuality. And I'll talk about that in another video because this goes down to, this is not even a place. And a lot of people are fucking arguing about so much shit out here. This isn't even a fucking place, but that goes on like deeper layers of like how to look at all this shit. But, we'll cover that in another video. But when you're meditating, you're putting all your attention and redirecting it to yourself. Let's say when you do certain levels of shadow work, you start to shed certain light on certain things. All these things, they're going to be things that are going to happen, right? That, where people do shadow work and say that their life appears to be falling apart afterwards. It's a healing crisis. It's no different than when you are detoxing, you may get healing crisis. Or when you appear to be sick in bed, you're actually healing, to be honest with you. Because you were sick before you got those symptoms. Those symptoms are just the effect of you healing from whatever was happening in your body that you were not even aware of. So if you contracted such diseases in the body, your body will respond by raising a temperature, drawing mucus, vomiting, diarrhea. And what is this doing? This is drawing a lot of water from the body because water holds memory, right? So when you're doing this is eliminating all this water with all this negative energy to it and all this negative emotions to it. This is true waste, right? So that's why doctors tell you hydrate properly. But when you can hydrate with the right fluids, again, a filtering system that we have, which is called a distillation system. This is why the urine looping is very important as well. When you're going through these detox symptoms and whatnot, this is the funny thing. People look at urine as disgusting, but you're in a planet where the water you drink, you're drinking somebody else's urine. I hope you do know that. And this is a scientific fact. But that's okay. These are your brothers and sisters, right? But you look at how the water processes, the water evaporates, right? You got this condensation, precipitation. We're going through this looping system whenever you see the water falling on top of you in the form of storms that may appear or even hurricanes or whatever it may be. The planet going through, earthquakes and whatnot. All this is a reflection of you. Earthquakes and whatnot. We go through certain seasons. They call them hurricane seasons, flu seasons and all that. These are purging seasons, right? They say do spring cleaning in the spring, right? So you clean your house, you do all this beautiful shit in the spring, right? But then when you'll notice that your hormones are a lot more active in the spring, right? In the wintertime, they're more dormant, but you may tend to go through things called flu season, right? Don't forget these little things outside of you called flu seasons. This is basically the same thing that would happen in my garden. Let's say in my garden I may have had some, some wilting viruses or not like powdery mildew or whatever little bullshit imbalances that may have been happening in the garden, even pests. You'll notice that in the wintertime, all that tends to leave, all it tends to go. And in the wintertime, you'll notice that when snow falls, right, there's something very interesting happening here. The snow that's falling, right, there's a lot of nitrogen attached to that, to those snowflakes, because there's a lot of nitrogen in the air. So when it snows and you got that snow that falls on top of your garden, when it melts, all that nitrogen, those are steroids for the plants. That's the main nutrient for growth and development of the plants, right? So this nitrogen is actually getting fertilized into your soil in the wintertime, right? But everything went dormant, and all these, imbalances and diseases actually went dormant with it, right? When you notice in the spring, everything looks like it's growing and it's on steroids, right? And then when you got the summertime, this is when you start to get these little obstacles, such as like certain pests, certain things you may have to just stay on top of to keep your garden in order. But then again, it depends on how you set it up to begin with. Because if you set it up in a way where these plants actually end up thriving in such a state that they get strong, pests aren't attracted to plants that are strong. They're only attracted to weaker plants. This is the same thing that happens with your body. If you keep your body strong and in the most neutral, because nature's neutral, it doesn't look at bad or good. That's why people look at things bad or good. There's no bad or good. Nature is neutral. You know what I'm saying? So natural is just neutral. Even how, you see, when you look at things, for example, a lot of people, this is how suffering starts. People polarize to shit. Like you got people with certain belief systems and they're so, held on to them that they live for these belief systems. Like, for example, you see how vegans, they get so attached to that belief system that when they get, they see somebody outside of them, eating meats and whatnot. I'll make that in another video. But, they live for that. They live for that. It's a belief system. You know what I'm saying? The suffering is when the more you believe in certain things, the more suffering you experience. Neutrality is just being the observer. You can decide to engage, entertain, or let it entertain you to some extent, because you can be entertained by something or something can entertain you, one or the other. But you can also watch things consciously, right? Or unconsciously. When you're watching things unconsciously, you may be getting programmed because you go into a slight hypnotic state. Like when you're watching TV, it's a program. You're getting programmed, right? So when you eat food, for example, you got these vegans who, ethical reasons and whatnot, but, just you got to understand there's a whole concept of prayer that happens here, there's a, people are eating foods consciously or unconsciously. When you eat food, you can't kill energy. You can only transmute or transfer energy, right? So when you start to eat foods such as like animals, you didn't kill the animal, right? But it was killed by somebody else. The energy of that animal is getting transferred into you. You get what I'm saying? But we're looking at death and suffering in such a way that it's inverted. You're looking at it from a one-dimensional space. Again, you're suffering, right? Even the person going out fighting for these animals' rights, you're suffering. And this is what you're projecting onto everybody else, your actual suffering, right? There's people eating meat and they're happy, but they're unconscious. That's like zombie eating. They're unconscious. But then there's the conscious person who will eat the meat and they'll pray over their meat, which means they're not praying to an external God to fucking like bless their food. No, you're praying in the sense where you are the source and you're transmuting this energy of this animal, and this animal would happily be eaten by you as far as you being a higher evolutionary species than it ever was. And that animal may have been suffering under that state because it doesn't have the capabilities and abilities that you have. How many humans over here want to be God, right? And then when they get faced with the I'm going to be God, challenges, obstacles, and circumstances, now they're crying, right? Because you took more of an empowered state, the conductive state. You're more, how you conduct yourself, you're more conducive, right? But you don't live a conducive lifestyle to match what it is that you're actually claiming to be, which is God, right? So you start to get faced with obstacles and whatnot, and this is what happens. You don't allow the God energy in you, right? So you allow God into your life, and that's what happens. Now you feel more empowered, but the animal would be glad to be eaten by you. Look, I just made the example, like even in Star Wars, you could look at this in TV, movies and stuff that you see, right? You start to see that the apprentice always kills its master, right? The master kind of knows this, right? But he goes, he fights, and how do you know he doesn't live through the apprentice? And I had a dream. I was talking to my brother-in-law about this. Now, when you follow in your parents' footsteps, right? You're programmed by your parents. That's why they say most of the time when you are dating a woman, you're mainly dating your mom. You hear what I'm saying? You're dating your mom. That's why even when you look at porn, I watched a fucking shitload of porn. And here's the thing with porn, you'll start to notice that they have, and I've always wondered, why the fuck is this like this? They say, fuck your sister, fuck your mom, you know what I'm saying? Or your mom, or your stepmom and all that. They always, it's crazy, right? But you start to really look at it from the totality of things, right? When you have a girlfriend and you're unconscious that you're following in the same patterns as your dad, you're actually really fucking your mom in another body, right? But the only difference is that this girl may never love you the way that your actual real mom ever loved you. You know what I'm saying? Or loves you currently. So you're really fucking your mom. Or if you're a female, then you have a boyfriend, you may be fucking your dad, whatever it may be. You get what I'm saying? So that's why, let's say if you are able to be aware of what's happening in your relationships, and you'll start to pinpoint that a lot of the things that you observed your parents do, like if your dad hit your mom, you're more than likely to be picking up those fucked up traits and beat up your woman or talk to your woman a certain way. You get what I'm saying? So it's important to be aware. If you're in a toxic relationship, right, you can go back and think of your life, do an audit. And you'll start to go back and see that these programs are coming from your actual parents. It's not their fault. You are your parents, just so you know. There is no history, right? History started the moment you came out the womb of your mom. This may be a cause and effect of just some previous experiences, if you want to look at it this way, where we keep repeating cycles of reincarnation. And these are patterns that you have to learn to overcome. And that's why you keep coming back in the same fucking loophole, right? The same wormhole. And if you really look at it, how do you know when your dad died, he's not trying to live through you to wake your goofy ass up, to wake up from the patterns that he was doing, and you become aware when you actually hear the message of your dad, which is not going to come in language that you fucking perceive to be. But I was telling you about a dream I had a realization that my dad was telling me that, why am I repeating the same shit? Wake the fuck up and change the shit so I can change my fucking life. And I said, what the fuck? This is where the whole dots connected with the apprentice and the fucking master. My dad was my master. Now he died. I didn't physically kill him. You get what I'm saying? But he tends to live through me, because energy can't be destroyed. It can only be transferred, transmuted, right? The whole thing is that even though they go past and beyond, my dad is still me. You get what I'm saying? There is no separation. So my dad now came into me, which is still me, waking me up to tell me that these are not favorable patterns for myself, whatever it may be. You get what I'm saying? My dad was a hard worker, a very talented individual with a lot of gifts and talents, but he was never rich because he just had fucked up negative thought patterns. But I'm being aware of these little things, and then I'm starting to realize that I'm manifesting little things here and there, little by little, and I'm noticing it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the better you get at it. You get what I'm saying? This is the reason why I've spoke a lot about self-development and whatnot, and why it's such a powerful thing. You don't come here and, that's why I get so a little bit confused with these non-duality videos. You get what I'm saying? I understand what they're saying, but there's a lot of people who live this philosophy, and they're all fucked up in their life. You get what I'm saying? They're all fucked up in their life. A lot of knowledge, but it's not applied. You get what I'm saying? A lot of knowledge and not applied. They're broke. They're depressed, they have addictions, and then then they have a fucking big ego where other people will try to help them, and they think they know more just because they have all this knowledge, right? And they look at you smaller because they think they're bigger than you. Meanwhile, that other person outside of you may be a version or a reflection of you that can help you wake the fuck up from that shit that you're not seeing, because what's up, bro? That person outside of you is a piece of the puzzle that you need to complete your game. Again, you only see a certain percent of the color spectrum because you're closed-minded to just you. You think you're the only one. Instead, if you find others interesting and are open-minded to the other people, you'll start to notice that now you'll start to connect dots, and your world starts to look a lot more vast, a lot more bigger. You start to have a bigger ecosystem, right? That's why I love meeting new people. But the more I change, I know the more people come into my life that I meet as far as new people. Because if you're in the same frequency, patterns, and vibrations, you'll notice that you'll never really meet new people. And if you meet new people, they don't become close to you. They're just acquaintances, hi, bye, here and there. But you'll start to notice that these people become close to you the more you change, the more your mindset changes. You get what I'm saying? And I've gone through a few depressive states, but then I've noticed that those depressive states is my spirit actually trying to tell me something. It's not something that I'm looking at as bad things. You know, I love my friends and the people outside of me, but certain people fall off and I'm fine with that. You get what I'm saying? I'm not holding on to anybody. But I also notice who real friends are, who are the real family members, who are the ones that are really there for you. You know what I'm saying? At this current moment in time that I'm at now, and who's going to ride with me for a long time. These are the people that you can consider soul group, soul family tribe, because even your immediate family members that you live with, if you change and these people fall out of your life, they were just there fulfilling a contract with you, but they're not there to basically ride this wave with you. And you just have to become aware of who your real actual family tribe is, and that's you becoming in tune and in harmony with yourself. You get what I'm saying? I know I went all over the place with this video, but I mean, I feel like I've covered a few good points that you know, tie into, you know, how life in and of itself can make you feel lighter, and you actually, with a lighter heart, you carry less baggage, less load. You know, that's why I say neutrality, neutral mental states, everything in a neutral state as the observer. You can, like, people who have anger issues, and they step out of their reality and just observe what's going on, they can overcome having outbursts and destructive situations from their life. You get what I'm saying? Like, even with a female, there's points where I ask myself, I tell myself this all the time, there's no female on this planet that's worth me ever sitting in a jail cell for. There's no female in this life ever worth me giving my energy in a way where I have to waste my time cursing at her. I went through the phases in my life where I would told a girl, no, you can't dress like that. You know, you're going to have guys look at you, and then, you know, and I was always at that fucking stupid mentality. But then in turn, the girl told me, oh, no, you can't wear those dress pants. Like, I remember I used to dress in like these dress pants, dressy suits. And she's like, no, you can't dress with that. That's got, you know, I can see the print of your dick through that. Or when you sit down, I can see the bulge on the side of your pants. No, I don't like that. And then, you know what I'm saying? These things are uncomfortable. Like, it's just like, who the fuck are you to tell me how to dress? But then I said, who the fuck am I to tell her how to dress? You know what I'm saying? Everything's based on trust. Relationship, love. People have love all fucked up. When you look at animals, they, you know, some people may say, oh, the only reason they love you is because you feed them. A relationship is trust. The animal just builds a trust for you that you're going to take care of it, and in kind, it shows you a gratitude. It's like a love is building. That's why I said when I'm on the garden, you got that green thumb, green, the color of the green heart, right? Your earth, your heart, the heart chakra color is green. So even money's green. You got you count money like this, green thumb. Out in the business world, you may attract money the same way because you're in the frequency. But if you have a good aura, a good energy, a good frequency, that's how the animals get attracted to you. That's how things get attracted to you, and they're harmonious with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's this prey-predator mentality where we start to look at animals that, for example, like I know one vegan who says that he would kill all the fucking carnivorous animals, but this is just because of imbalances. Like, if you had a cobra next to you and you're in like the most deepest meditative state in a jungle, let's say, this cobra would not bite you or attack you. It would actually meditate with you. Do you notice how snakes, they tend to dance under, like when they play a flute? It's a frequency, right? And they have this dance, right? Your kundalini energy rises and is dancing, right? This cobra that's next to you, if you're meditating, you're emitting a harmonious frequency, and this cobra is going to actually dance with you. It's going to meditate with you. But the moment you look at it and your stupid ass fucking humanity kicks in and you're afraid of it, then fear, what happens when it's going to consume you? Fear consumes you. Where's fear hidden? In your fucking kidneys. What's above your kidneys? Your adrenal glands, fight or flight, right? What manages this? Your pituitary. So now your system, your immune system shuts down, your blood gets circulated into your limbs. It leaves the most important intellectual or spiritual, like, what gland is actually the one that has the most blood flow flowing through it? Your pineal gland, right? And when you look at your kidneys filter blood. And what comes out of your bladder? Urine, filtered blood. Only 5% waste, only depending on what you're eating. You got to start to look at all these things and tie what is the real fountain of youth. How much blood do you have flowing through your pineal gland? If it's calcified, maybe not too much, right? But if you got a lot of good circulation going through there and you have an open crown, right? But the observer is aware of what's going in and out, then you basically have more power and more control. You're in a real godly state because you're in a neutral state. But you're not worried about, anybody stealing from you. Like, you can look at this as you having your house open, right? Are you in a good neighborhood, a bad neighborhood? Do you have enemies? Do you have things that, I'll make another video on that because I've made examples on that. I'm probably like my oldest videos, but all these things are starting to tie in and make sense now to what it is that I'm, trying to express to you on camera. But everything is circulation, blood flow, stagnation, belief systems, grudges. You hold on to these negative emotions. These things create putrefaction. They create, rotting effect. Like the more you flow, the more circulation, the more flexible and malleable you are, the healthier you are mentally and physically. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people have vitality is needed in order for you to have energy out in the business world, in the spiritual world. Vitality is important, right? You can actually, that's why I said you use your dick as a fucking magic wand, but you can also use it as a real measuring stick that's my life force stick. Is that shit not fucking working? Why is it not working, motherfucker? You better fucking get some some blood in that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? And touch a girl's heart if you have to. You know what I'm saying? In whatever position you have. You know what I'm saying? You could touch her, metaphysically, or you could dead ass touch that shit physically. You know what I'm saying? Rock her fucking world. But this is all coming down to circulation, flow, flexibility, magic stick. Right? It really is a magic stick because sexual energy is a very potent energy. It's probably one of the most powerful energy for you to manifest. But you stay stuck on some fucking stupid shit. You repeat the same patterns and you don't realize that you need to just, be aware, spot these negative patterns, and it's not building resistance to it. It's more or less like, you don't consent to it. So you're like a casting director. Casting spells, right? So for example, if these thoughts are just auditioning for you, and the moment you entertain it and keep them in there, unaware or aware, it's like you decided to have that play a role in your life, and that's how you manifested your reality. Because now you see, Bob Proctor said, if you can think it and you can get emotionally involved with it and you stay focused on it, you can have it, because this is a sexual experience. You have a visualization or a thought, push out, masculine. You have an emotion toward it, right? That's feminine. You stay focused on it, right? You can have it. You materialize it because now you're putting energy and attention into it. You see how this shit works? So now, for example, if you are able to look at these things as like you're a casting director, you know who you decide to put and play a role in there. But, mental activity never constitutes thinking. You can actually think, right? And use this as a tool. Actually, thinking is a sacred activity. Just like eating is a sacred activity, talking is a sacred activity, right? All these things you commune with outside of you, sacred activity. I'll make a separate video on that so you can get a further understanding of what it is that I'm telling you as far as what's sacred and why even thinking is a sacred activity. Instead of it just going on autopilot, right? You can actually live your life still like you're the eye of the hurricane. It doesn't matter what the fuck is going outside of you. If you're in the eye of the hurricane, that's the most calmest point. You're able to see all the chaos outside of you. And then you make order out of chaos from the most stillest point. You can't be in the chaos and then fucking expect to make changes. You're in fight or flight. We'll talk soon. Like if you like it.